welcome to the MacJury. This is the home of truth, justice, and the Macintosh way. I'm Chuck Joyner, and we are here to pass judgment on Apple's decision to pay dividends and buy back stock and do all kinds of interesting financial things, as was announced by Tim Cook this morning as we recorded this. Let's jump over and see who we're going to be discussing this with, because I tried to find two people who would have fairly, sedate opinions, and these were the most two sedate guys I could think of. First up, Mr. Peter Cohen. Peter, it's great to have you back on the MacJury.
They're doomed! Apple is doomed! Hey, Chuck, nice to be here.
Yeah, so much for sedate, Peter. And the other sedate gentleman on your screen is Mr. Steve Sande. Steve, can you top that?
No. Well, what I can do, though, is show you the hat I'm wearing here. If the sound or the video happens to go, at least you can see I'm wearing my Broncos cap. There's a reason for this.
All right, I'll bite. What's the reason?
Peyton Manning, baby! Anyway, okay.
Okay. Now we got that out of the way. Peter, do you want to do a plug for the Patriots of some kind?
No, I don't need to plug the Patriots. I'm not, what can I say, baby? They've got the championships.
Yeah.
Three rings. We're just missing that fourth one.
All right, this is fast degenerating into Sports Zone, and that's not a good thing, because that's not our shtick at all.
Sports Zone.
So, guys, I'm really interested to see what your reactions are to the news we got this morning that Apple is going to pay I believe it's $2.65 dividend to shareholders this fall, and also over the next few years we'll be buying back a pretty healthy amount, at least dollar-wise, of stock. Peter, let's start with you, and whichever one you want to talk about. Good idea, bad idea, what?
Well, talk about think different. Tim Cook has been, as we record this, Tim Cook's been in office, so to speak, as Apple's CEO for 208 days. And in that time, he has made the company's manufacturing processes more transparent. He's reinstituted corporate philanthropy. He's paying stockholders dividends, and they're doing a stock buyback program. And he's continued to churn out award-winning products that sell in the millions the second that they hit store shelves. Oh, and generated billions and billions of dollars in shareholder value for Apple. So I would say that Tim Cook has put his mark on Apple pretty successfully in his short tenure as CEO.
Steve, do you agree with that? Because I'm not completely sure I agree with giving Tim all that credit.
Well, I'll give him a lot of credit, but, follow up with, they're doomed! Doomed! No, anyway, they're doomed.
Obviously, yeah.
I think it was about darn time, because if you take a look at Apple since whatever it was, sometime in 1980, when they went public, they've traditionally not paid a dividend. And, of course, there were many years where they really couldn't do that. But I think it's about darn time, especially when you take a look at the cash hoard that they've built up over the past few years. It was just absolutely insane. They couldn't go out and buy enough companies to really get rid of that big pile of cash. And this gives them a good opportunity to get the stock price to go up. You probably noticed it was up about $15, a little over $15 a share.
Top 600 for the first time.
Absolutely. 601.55, I think, was the close today. And from the close yesterday, it was up over $15, which is phenomenal. And I think it's just the stock market reacting to, hey, I can actually buy this and get a dividend now. And the fact that they're going to be doing that stock buyback is just absolutely brilliant. It's going to jack the per share price up tremendously over the next few years.
I guess, Peter, the reason I was disagreeing a little bit, I'm not sure you can lay this all at Tim Cook's feet, and we could debate about when he actually took operational control of Apple. But a lot of this has Steve Jobs' handprints all over it. And yet, you're right. There have been some very definite changes since Steve stepped away.
I'd say the product strategy, yeah, that's got Steve's fingerprints all over it. But the operational strategy, Tim Cook's been Apple's COO for a decade. All right, so there were things that Steve Jobs didn't want to do. He didn't want to spend his money. He talked to Warren Buffett about it. Warren told him what he could do with it, and Steve decided he didn't want to do anything with it. And that was his choice to make as CEO. Tim Cook's making a different choice, but I don't see how you can see something like the dividend and the shareholder buyback as anything but Cook and Oppenheimer clearly wanting to establish their own path of future success at Apple. That's got nothing to do with Jobs at all. The 4S, the iPad, the new iPad, I'll grant you. Fine. Maybe even the Apple TV for all I know. But the other stuff about the changes, the fundamental changes that Apple has made as a corporation, the things like corporate philanthropy, the things like, being forthcoming about their manufacturing processes and the issue, with the transparency around their manufacturing partners and so on. That stuff is Tim Cook, clearly Tim Cook, because that stuff never happened under Steve Jobs' watch. It's like night and day. In that respect, I think it's incredible. And, we'll continue to see the products innovate too, or innovation in the products. I have no doubt that Cook and Oppenheimer are completely above board when they say that they've got a very full product pipeline and, lots of ideas for things that they want to do with the company moving forward.
Yes, I take nothing away from Tim, so don't misunderstand.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You don't like Tim.
No, I really do. In fact, I think it's very much a tribute to him that during the new iPad launch, we heard virtually nothing about if Steve had been there. It just feels like we have moved on.
Oh, we heard a little bit of that. We tackled that on Angry Mac Bastards.
Yeah, a little, but not a lot. Not a lot. Not like in the past, where Steve might not have been there. So
the 4S was definitely more, we still miss Steve. Oh, the ghost of Steve haunts us. Oh, we'll never get past it. You're right. The new iPad release, not so much. Outside of that crappy article in the Financial Post or whatever it was about his rumpled shirt and that garbage.
His shirt tails were hanging outside of his belt. My God, the company's going downhill.
Yeah, this is like we had talked about it on another version of the MacJury that I think, was it the LA Times, LA Post? Somebody led with the new iPad is larger and heavier and bigger. And of course, now that we have it in our hands, we know that, yes, technically, by a few grams, by a few millimeters, but come on, is that a leap?
By any standard of human measurement that actually involves holding the thing, huh?
Yeah,
I just don't understand.
The original iPad, it's a wash.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's one of those fart-sniffing moments that tech pundits love to do. Where they're just so obsessed with their own cleverness. They're so twee. They have to find some little thing, some niggling little differentiation from the old product to the new product to declare, this new product is not as good. It does not suit my needs nearly as well as this other product, which weighs the equivalent of 2 raisins less.
Yeah,
my arms will tire.
Better. Steve is still there.
Yeah, but
dude, they're keeping his brain in a jar.
But you know what, Peter, and Steve too, both of you. In fact, Steve, comment on this for me. I keep getting this funny feeling that anytime I see the press, and mainly the mainstream press, but there are times the tech press too, cover something I know anything about, and they get it wrong as much as they do, I really start to worry about me depending on the media for coverage on things I don't know anything about. And how slanted some of the reporting can be. Because it does seem like there was a faction both in and outside of the tech community that had to find something negative to say. So they picked on rumpled shirts and millimeters and grams. And it just doesn't make any sense.
Are you saying that there's a problem with the lamestream media?
I'm questioning whether there's just an issue of feeling like you always have to find something bad to say, even when there isn't really anything.
That's the way the world is right now. You can't have somebody just write a nice post saying, this is a great product. It's evolutionary. It's not revolutionary or resolutionary. If you want, they're bad pun, but you can't just say nice things. You always have to have the "but" or "however" comment at the bottom of the post. And in a way, I really hate that. It just brings so much negativity to everything that's out there.
When I don't mind it if there really is a downside. I mean, because there are pluses and minuses to everything. And I don't mind if Peter reviews, an iPhone case and he says, okay, I like it but here's one thing I really didn't like about it. That to me is fine. But to go and just find some niggling little thing and say, and this is bad, and this is a reason maybe not to buy it. No, that's just not right. It's just not right.
And there's a lot of that going around. You made the comment about, what did you say Peter would say? I don't give something about doing a review of a case. He would like the fact that it had the Hello Kitty logo on it.
That, folks, is what is known as baiting.
Yeah.
This is true. My wife and my daughter are both big Sanrio fans. Cool. in their own way. Emmeline has a lot of Hello Kitty stuff. Bonnie goes more for Choco Cat. So if it was a Choco Cat case, yes, we would definitely be in business.
This is great. Okay.
For me, it's all about Bats Maru. I like the penguin with the bad attitude. That's that's how I roll in the Sanrio world.
Yes.
I guess I'm
sorry, what the hell were we talking about?
Yeah, Roy. I'm a Daffy Duck fan. I like the greed. I like the greed. And let's go back to greed for a second, because I may be the only person who was kind of rooting for Cook to just come up and say, we've looked at this and we think strategically it's good to have $100 billion in the bank, and we're just going to hang on to it.
And if you don't like it, who cares?
Yeah.
And then just drop the mic and walk off the stage,
Yeah. There were a couple points, though, on Twitter made today that I thought were interesting. One of which, and I think I'll credit Ted Landau with this, was that if the cash flow keeps up anywhere near what it is, they can pay the dividends, they can do this, and it's really not going to reduce the balance that much. It'll level it off and it won't continue to increase, but it'll be almost a pass-through.
Well, I think that that's largely the point. They're sitting in such a positive cash position right now that they can do this. One thing to bear in mind is that a big chunk of their cash is out of the country. So, if things were to go south for them, they might have to repatriate some of that money. They would get hit with a very heavy tax burden. It's something that they mentioned during the call, and something that Apple executives have actually lobbied Washington, along with other companies in the U.S. that have a lot of overseas holdings, that they would like to change, because they would like to get some of their money back in the country without having to pay a huge amount of taxes on it. So whether or not tax governance will change in between now and the time that this dividend process is well underway, I don't think that that's going to happen at all. But like I said, down the road, if Apple's balance sheet really got hurt, this could eat into things. But yeah, I mean, for the short term, I think it's great. It's about time to see shareholders who have held onto Apple stock for a very long time start seeing some benefit for themselves beyond just the valuation of the stock.
And the valuation of the stock has been pretty sweet.
So one of the only other point I'd like to make is that there are a lot of companies in tech that offer non-dividend stock. So Apple has not been unique in this respect either. It's another important thing to keep in mind. You look at Apple's balance sheet, you say, well, it's natural that they give dividends back. No, a lot of people invest in tech stocks as growth stocks and never expect to see dividends from it. They're just anticipating, seeing their money, turn over a couple of times and say, okay, I'll pull out now and I'll make some money. Clearly, though, Wall Street is reacting very positively to the news, and their stock just kept bumping up because people know they're going to make more money now.
Yeah, Steve, how do you feel about the issue of cash overseas and it not being brought back because of the tax? Does Apple have any kind of weird patriotic duty for those of the listeners and viewers in the U.S.? Do they have a patriotic duty, or is this just good business?
Well, it's funny because, this has been going around for quite some time, the bit about a lot of the Silicon Valley companies lobbying Congress to get the repatriation laws changed. And, it's something that the time has come. They really ought to take a look at doing that. If, especially, if you had, a need to increase jobs in the United States, perhaps you would want to do something like, take part of that $100 billion cash horde that's sitting out there, repatriate part of it, and perhaps build plants in the United States. But, I don't see that happening anytime in the near future. Labor rates are still way too high here, and I don't think we could get away with housing a lot of people in dorms and abusing them.
Well, it depends. If our economy, falls off a precipice again, give it 2 years, the middle class will disappear, and we'll have a fresh batch of factory workers ready for Foxconn's facilities in America.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, they've got them in Brazil now, so we can move them here to the U.S. too.
They're getting closer and closer.
Yeah,
they're in our hemisphere now.
I knew this was going to be a good one. I just knew.
I'm going up to the hills and I'm packing survival gear. I got my bug-out backpack filled already.
Every time I hear
rations.
Every time I hear these arguments, though, about patriotic duty and everything, I like to point out that Apple didn't set these rules. In fact, none of the companies set these rules. They play by them. So the IRS, Congress, they set them, and it's just a matter of, okay, we called our accountants and our attorneys and said, how can we keep as much money in our hands, even if it's offshore? They're playing by the rules, and they have.
Well, one thing I think people tend to forget as well is, even though Apple is an American company, they are really now a multinational company. Most of their sales, if you take a look at the sales overseas anymore, China is absolutely a huge market for them. The entire Asia-Pacific market is absolutely huge. Europe is huge. You name it. Should they necessarily be repatriating all that money into the United States? I don't know. I'm not an economist. I never, planned on being one. Maybe that'd be my next career move, but I don't know. It seems to me that you want to spread it around a little bit. After all, you're making that money from people throughout the world. Why not, spread it all over the place?
Another thing to consider, for people who have an issue with the way that the manufacturing is going with Apple and the way that Apple has divested itself, in international money and so on, is that if you rewinded back to the late 90s when we all were hanging on the prow of a ship that was sinking, none of this had come to pass yet. Apple was manufacturing in the United States. Apple was still manufacturing in Ireland. This stuff was costing a lot of money for Apple to manufacture. The margins weren't nearly as good as they were when Cook came to the fore and moved a lot of that production over to China. So we've been the beneficiaries of this for years. But it is what it is, and some people are going to get upset about it because all of a sudden they're called to cultural consciousness by something. As long as you're going into this as an educated consumer, I've got no problem. If you're just buying into the baloney of people like Mike Daisy, well, that's a whole different kettle of fish.
Ooh, that'd be another topic.
Yeah, well, I'm not. I think that one almost speaks for itself. I don't know how you guys feel, but it just, it's just one more person who is trying to sensationalize things, and I loved it. His comment that I'm not a journalist. What was he? Performance art? What is this? And yet everybody took it as gospel and then started chastising Apple, and to a lesser degree others.
As a fat bastard, I am just offended that he is giving fat bastards a bad name everywhere. He's just not a credit to his race.
Well, that's just not a perspective I'd really considered, Peter, but okay.
That's what I bring to the table, Chuck. That's why you ask me on the MacJury every once in a while.
I never know what you're going to bring. You always bring a unique viewpoint of things. So the other point I heard on Twitter today that I thought was interesting is that I could buy, and I'd love to give credit to whoever said it, and it went by too fast for me to note, but they said that I could buy a share of Apple stock or I could buy a new iPad. And that just struck me as, wow, it really is to that point now. That's where the stock price has gotten. And it's kind of amazing.
Wow. That is kind of deep.
Yeah, I don't know why it struck me, but it really did.
Yeah, especially because that threshold actually passed a while ago, because it's been trading above 500 for a while. So whoever said that was late to the party.
Yeah, but who buys a 16 gigabyte Wi-Fi iPad, Peter? Come on.
Oh, well, Mr. My iPad's bigger than yours is.
Yeah, well, mine's this big. I can't get it any closer to this.
64 gigs.
Oh, well, I only have a lowly 32 gig. Yeah, so there.
Bringing a knife to a gunfight, like usual.
I have fun on this tonight.
Yeah, this is going to be good. This is going to be a fun edit, I tell you. Okay, so let's go there. For the heck of it, your iPad.
Take Raper to a knife fight.
What have your experiences been with? You can tell, folks, I've completely lost control. I never had it. What are your iPad experiences so far with the new one?
Actually, in all honesty, it's absolute truth. About an hour with the new iPad, and I started getting a really bad tension headache, and I realized it's because I wasn't wearing my eyeglasses. The new iPad has actually made me aware that I need to get my my reading glasses, the prescription updated, because I could see details there that I just couldn't make out because my eyes are not good enough to see it. That's never happened to me with a consumer electronics peripheral in my life. That's a first for me. Because I've got 20/20 vision, so that was just weird.
Steve, how about you?
Well, being old and blind as a bat, actually it was kind of interesting because the first thing I noticed was, at least for me, and I think it's because my eyes aren't that good, I really didn't see that much of a difference. I looked at the screen and went, yeah, it looks okay, but it really doesn't look that great. Where I did finally start noticing the difference was when I zoomed in, did the old gesture, and in the apps that support it, and was really able to get in and, for instance, look at text close up. And that's where I could really see a difference. The photographs as well. I've got a lot of photos that I loaded onto my iPad on various trips. And it's just totally shocking. I mean, really can see the difference. But in everyday app usage using something like Mail or Twitter or whatever, it really didn't seem to change all that much. Probably the most, what's the word for it? Frustrating thing for me is I got the 4G Verizon version because AT&T at this time does not have a built-out LTE network in Denver. And so I got this, and of course I'm out in the burbs, so this may have a lot to do with it. But I'm seeing people like Renee Ritchie over at iMore showing these phenomenal data rates, download rates like 36 to 42 megabits per second. And I'm lucky if I can get 7 or 8 megabits per second. So I don't know if it's just because I'm out here in the, kind of the fringe between civilization and the sticks, or, what it is.
Yep. Yeah, that all makes a lot of sense. One thing though that you said that I would not agree with is that if there are sort of normal use cases where you're going to notice the screen difference right away. Like if you take a look at the home screen and you've got any folders on there, you can make out the individual icons, the app icons inside the folders much more clearly than you could before. It's trippy how detailed the detail on those icons is. It's really weird. So, in that respect, I think contextually, you get a better sense of the information that's on the page. I tend to read a lot of magazines, periodicals that I've subscribed to through Zinio and that I've subscribed to through the various bookstores and so on. Right. And that's really, where I think the new iPad is standing out compared to the iPad 2. I could do that stuff on the iPad 2, but to really see detail, I needed to zoom in, like you were saying before, Steve. And now I don't need to. Now I can just look at that page and get all that text information and see that visual detail without having to start zooming in to make it look right. Because zooming in is sort of the equivalent of sticking your nose to the page. It's a difficult user experience. It's better to, be looking at that from arm's length and still getting that same level of detail coming at you.
Yeah, I have one Zinio subscription, and I haven't really called it up. It just came in, or my issue just came in today, so I'll have to take a look at it and see if it really does make a massive difference.
And it's kind of surprising, I think, that we're not talking. Everyone we've talked to on the shows has talked about the text rendering and some of the fine graphic rendering, as opposed to, oh my God, it's a fantastic experience for movies or whatever. They've really all focused more on sort of the everyday use case instead of the entertainment, and that's been something I didn't expect. I was expecting more, deeper color saturation and brighter and all those things. So it's just shocking to me that the resolution has made that difference in that particular arena on this device.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting for me to see, what they do with it in the future. Obviously, you were saying entertainment apps, game apps in particular, getting updated left and right with video enhancements for the new iPad. In some cases, they're making a significant difference. In others, it's just eye candy. It really depends on the title. So, it's one of those things where I think where developers are as behind the curve as users are when it comes to enhancing their products for the new iPad. They, the vast majority of them weren't given any heads up, that this new device was coming down the pike. So we're on we're way beyond the bleeding edge right now on app optimization for the new iPad.
Yeah, things will definitely get better as more of the developers really get the opportunity to catch up and make those changes. Like you said, a lot of the game developers, some of the big developers seemed to know what was coming along or kind of anticipated it and really did a good job of getting the updates out of it. But some of the other apps, has almost surprised me that they haven't come out with the updates. And you saw this big rush right around Friday, Saturday timeframe of a lot of updates coming out. Since then, it's been relatively quiet. So, I'm just wondering if we'll see another rush here as people finally kind of catch up.
I think they're probably learning what to do with it, how to get the most out of it. Because Peter said eye candy, and that's it. Nothing wrong with eye candy, because it's going to, going to make those apps more visually pleasing. But I think this is another one of those things, just like so many things about the iPad, like the touch interface, that the developers are going to have to get used to what they can do with this and what they can put much more finely grained controls on screen, and they're usable without having, as Peter said, to zoom in, to just be there. So, yeah, one more evolution. Yeah, like that. Exactly. Whoa. Exactly. That was not a Retina display, folks.
I'll give you Retina display.
Yeah. Use Retina.
Let's wrap up with something completely different. Either one of you pick up one of the new Apple TVs?
No.
Okay. I just did. I had a Christmas gift card left over, so I went to Best Buy and grabbed one.
We don't care, Chuck.
Okay.
Well, my reason for not getting one of the new Apple TVs, I bought one of the other little black box ones. I had one of the original Humongo hard drive based ones, but went and bought one of the Apple TV 2s or whatever heck you want to call them. And to be honest with you, I don't use it all that much. And it's not because I don't like the idea, the concept behind it, but I've got so much crap plugged into my HD TV that it ends up being, turning into this goat rodeo every stinking time I want to watch something on the Apple TV. I've got to go in and, bring this remote out to get that turned on so that I can go in and get, this one particular HDMI switch to properly get the input from and it's just a pain in the ass. And I'm not going to go out and buy a new HD TV with 15 HDMI ports just to run it. So anyway,
unlike Steve, I don't have special needs, so I set up my living room entertainment center in a sensible way that doesn't take a PhD to understand how to get input from one device to another. But you know what? Outside of making fun of him, I agree with everything that he says, because I've got the second generation Apple TV. I've got the first one too. I use it to fry eggs now. But it really does a nice job too.
And bacon.
Yes. Well, I put bacon in the oven now. That's my jam. So, where was I? Oh, Apple TV 2, the second generation Apple TV, whatever the hell you want to call it. I guess we're dropping 2s and 3s from things now, so I should stay current. The 720p version of the Apple TV got the software upgrade that the new Apple TV has, and not enough to differentiate it for me to say, oh, I must have this now. 1080p just isn't as that important in my life. Most of the content I look at on my TV isn't that good. I've got Comcast. They don't have a lot of 1080p programming that I watch. So it's not a huge deal for me to go out and be able to download that now from iTunes. And Steve's absolutely right. The problem with Apple TV for me is that it duplicates capabilities I've got in other equipment in the house. In addition to the Apple TV, my television has a TiVo connected to it. It has an Xbox 360 connected to it, and it has a PlayStation 3 connected to it. Any one of those three devices can run Netflix. Some of them can access other video services as well. And the ability to duplicate that functionality in Apple TV isn't that important to me. The only time it really comes in handy is if iTunes has an exclusive on something that I want to see, or in some cases where it's cheaper to rent a video from iTunes than it might be from Amazon Video on Demand, or something that's not in a Netflix streaming video queue. In those cases, the Apple TV makes sense. But at that point, it's a tertiary product. The Apple TV still isn't a home run for me.
Yeah. Well, and talking about that, I just got a product today. The box, literally came to the door about, an hour and a half ago, for something that, for me, makes a lot more sense than the Apple TV. In Nashville and Denver, Comcast is doing a test marketing of this thing called AnyPlay, and basically it's a box that allows one iPad or one iPhone in a household to literally watch or use an iPad or an iPhone as another TV in that house. You can only use one at a time. But it's a great use case for the situation we have, where my wife may be watching something on TV that I don't particularly care to watch, and I want to watch something else. I can now pop open this device, bring it up, and get this nice HD stream that's coming to my...
and be antisocial. You don't want to sit there with your wife. Jeez, you got more serious problems than this box, Steve. What the hell?
Dude, I've been married for... let's see, how many years now? Almost 33 years. So. And
your wife is a saint. That's the only explanation.
No kidding.
She's getting over her second knee replacement right now. So we've been spending plenty of quality time together.
Okay. All right. Well, okay, that's an allowable excuse then.
Yeah, really. See, everything you guys said is absolutely true. The only thing you haven't said, and it may just be me, it may be the way that I use it, but you can't do AirPlay. And I just love the ability to carry media around with me and then come home and hit that AirPlay to whichever Apple TV it's going to go to and just keep right on going instead of having to try to figure out where it is or be limited. So that to me is a big one.
You know, I got to agree with you, Chuck. That is definitely a killer app feature for the Apple TV. There's a specific reason we don't use it in my house. You know, we've got a pretty small house with 3 kids, 2 teenagers. Our living room is in the same part of the house as our bedroom, so there really isn't a lot of privacy. So we don't get an opportunity to stream a lot of music to the living room. Where I listen to music mainly is in the car or on my phone from headphones when I'm mowing the lawn, or in my office or whatever. And in that case, it's a slightly different use case. But I think if I had a more normal household, and children that respected their parents and let them listen to the music that they like to listen to instead of complaining.
Yeah, like that's normal.
Like that's normal,
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think I would probably use AirPlay streaming quite a bit more. And me as the games guy of all people, I should know there is some cool stuff to do with AirPlay streaming if you've got an Apple TV and an iPad. There is some really cool stuff. Duplicating what's up on the screen, in some cases showing different parts of the gameplay from what's on your iPad up on the TV. That's the neat part. So you can really make the TV an extension of your gaming experience for AirPlay-equipped games.
Yeah, I think this is one of those devices that it's going to evolve. It may not evolve quickly and like some of us think it will or as fast as we want, but there's a link now between it's going to be a link between your iDevice and with Mountain Lion, Gesundheit.
Excuse me.
With Mountain Lion, your Mac, since we know from what we've told of been told about Mountain Lion, you'll be able to send your screen, your Mac screen to the big screen TV. So I don't know. I'm not quite sure where it's going, but it all feels like it's building up into this one nice little ecosystem in my home.
They've got a crack. Well, you remember the comment in
Yeah.
I don't think Steve Jobs had TV cracked. I think he was just screwing with Walter Isaacson. That's my theory.
It's like, how the hell? I don't know. Just don't get me going down that path. I agree with you 100% on that one, Peter. I think just playing with him. He had to have been, because there's one big problem with cracking TV, and that's the networks themselves. And you're not going to change those people.
That's what we said about the music industry, Steve. And the music industry has had to change.
Maybe Steve put out a retroactive hit on Les Moonves and other big studio execs. And on the 1-year anniversary of Steve Jobs' death, this crack Mossad commando team is going to come out and Krav Maga the entire Hollywood establishment.
You heard it.
Oblivion.
You're right, Steve. Yeah.
And then the proletariat shall rise.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that there are big changes coming. I don't know. Now I'm curious, and we'll wrap this show with this discussion. But I'm finding myself not going to the movie theater because I'm becoming increasingly dissatisfied with the quality of the experience. And I don't mean the kid blowing bubble gum in back of me. I just mean the screen. I've got a better screen at home. I've got at least equal sound, and if I move my chair up a little closer, I can have a bigger screen, and it's crystal clear. It's gorgeous. So I'm waiting 3 months, 6 months, whatever, until the Blu-ray comes out, and then enjoy it at home. And I'm sorry, movie guys, but it's just Hollywood. I mean, they're delivering some reasonably decent quality, but
they're still getting your money. I mean, you gave it away when you said Blu-ray.
Yeah.
If you're really bucking the system, man, you just be BitTorrenting it all.
I'm not bucking the system, Peter. I'm just saying that this is what has happened to me.
What I'm saying is, who cares that you're going to the movies? You're spending $35 on the Blu-ray. They're making their money, or $20 on the Blu-ray if you get it on sale opening weekend at BJ's or Costco. You know, my point is, they're still making money off you one way or the other. They factor this into account. I mean, there have been plenty of cases of movies that have not done well theatrically that do brilliantly once they're out on video. You know, I mean, entire cult phenomena get started that way. So, I don't cry. I don't shed a tear for Hollywood because they can't get people into theaters. The bottom line is, theaters, for the most part, are quagmires. They're places where socially maladjusted misfits end up talking on their cell phones or yelling at the screen, or, you know, little booger-picking kids with their fingers in the popcorn, or, you know, it's an unpleasant experience. Now, admittedly, I'm a little sociopathic, but I don't think a lot of people are going to agree with me that going to the movie theaters can just be an unpleasant sort of wading into the pool of humanity.
Yeah, and I would rather, I mean, if I'm going to spend my bucks, I would rather spend it watching it on a really nice TV, like you said, in my house where it's not too warm, not too cold. My cat can come sit in my lap.
Where you can pause it to pee and then come back and not miss anything.
Yes. What he said.
and hey, Peter, I agree with you. They're making money off of me, but everything you both said is true. It's just I'm finding it to be a superior experience, and there's not that much content coming out of Hollywood that I feel like I have to see on opening weekend or the second weekend.
I will go to see big tentpole movies like Thor last year and John Carter. I saw John Carter, and any critic who didn't like John Carter didn't freaking get it. God! Anyway. There wasn't a lot to get. It was just like Pulp Fiction garbage, but that was the joy of it. You had to see it in 3D. It was a spectacle. It was like a stew of just stuff, and I don't think that will translate well to the TV. I think a movie like that does better in the theater. You get it translates better to that big screen, that sort of jaw-dropping experience of being in the theater while you're seeing it. But for a lot of films, no. And I think that some of the studios are catching on to this, and you're seeing studios release movies on iTunes first. Where you can rent them for $10, or you can wait 2 weeks for it to be out theatrically. And I think that that's a great value proposition for people who like movies and are interested in cinema and maybe want to see stars that they're familiar with, or if they're sort of on the obsessive side of it and they know about it, and it's something that they feel comfortable with doing. Obviously, it's still an early adopter phenomenon on iTunes. I don't think it's a big thing that's really adding to the studio's bottom line, but I think they're getting it bit by bit. I'd like to see more of that. I would love to see equity where stuff is getting released on iTunes the day it gets into theaters, if not before. And people are expected to rent for a reasonable price because it's a theatrical experience. It's going to cost you and your date $25 to see this movie. We'll rent it to you for $10. That seems reasonable to me. Watch it on your TV at home, where you don't have to wear pants.
Yeah, but thank you, Jeff Gammett.
My work here is done.
But that the theater owners are going to have a stroke over that. I mean, they're trying to find a way to make the theater experience better, and I wish them luck because I don't quite know what to tell them to do.
I don't have a lot of sympathy for these creeps. They're selling me, $8 buckets, troughs of stale popcorn, with rat feces in it, with some butter concoction made out of, some chemical that I wouldn't want to power my car with, and that's the way that they've been making money for the past, since I was a kid. They haven't made money on theater tickets in decades. The way that they make money is selling you concessions, is selling you those diabetes-creating boxes of snow caps, and the big gulp-sized soda for $5. Yeah. Oh, the movie's 2 hours long. I definitely need 64 ounces of Mountain Dew to get me through this experience. Come on. I've got no sympathy for these guys. I feel about these guys like I felt about most of the independent Mac resellers that were around before the Apple stores came out. You knew what you had to do to improve your experience, and you didn't do it. So you know what? Screw you. Go out of business. I don't care. Regal, Showcase.
They're out of here. Well, I got to admit,
yes.
some of the theater owners are going out of their way to do some good things. We've got a theater opened up here, I don't know, 4 miles away from where I live. We've got another one that's about a mile away. I will not go there anymore. This new place, they have special seats that you can reserve. They're nice. They're cushioned. You can, sit right next to your honey there, like you were on the couch or something. And they serve alcohol in the seats, which is absolutely great and really makes for a nice, pleasant movie-going experience.
When we started this discussion, I thought we were going to stay serious. I should have known better. Well, it's been a wide-ranging one, no question about it. I want to thank Peter Cohen and Steve Sande for their wisdom, their opinions, and their entertainment value. And I think the latter is the one that got the most. Thanks, guys.
Always a pleasure, Josh. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good to see you both. Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. Please check our show notes. I'll have links in there for everything that both Peter and Steve do, as well as everything that the Mac Voices group is doing. And until the next time, the verdict on a whole lot of things is in. Thanks for watching.
Mac Voices TV is part of the Mac Voices group and a member of Mac Level 10.